Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're listening to the Podium Podcast. And welcome back to another episode. It is, of course, the 2026 Australian Grand Prix preview. The first of not just a new season, but new regulations, new cars, new teams, There's a lot of new. There's a lot of new, and there's a lot to get through. So, I think there's no better place to start but to talk about 2026. We've already done a predictions. A couple of very knowledgeable people joined me last week to talk about 2026 as a whole, but we are going to be specifically talking about Australia. The first race of the season always is a banger, absolute banger, and I would say, to be fair, one of the best tracks to race at. Always vibe. It's great to have it back as the start of the Formula 1 season. But there's been a lot in the news before we even set foot on track for a competitive session. So I think let's talk about it. And probably the biggest news to come out of the time we've had between testing and the first race is about Aston Martin, who have not really started the season off on the best footing. But it seems that their car is, to be fair, in the most dire situation a team could find themselves in. Testing wise, they did not run as much as they expected to. They ran only for, I believe, 20% of what the likes of Mercedes and Ferrari are putting in, which means that they are really on the back foot. I believe reliability is a factor, as well as the aerodynamics of the car not really sparking that pace, which we all thought, to be fair, coming into 2026, with Honda coming in, with Adrian Newey coming in, with a lot of money being chucked at 2026 as this year that they will, be fighting at the front again. Seems it's the opposite way around. It seems that from what everyone said from Bahrain, they are easily the worst team on the grid right now, and that they will probably have a really, really poor Australian Grand Prix. So poor that they might not even start the Grand Prix. They might retire straight away. The only thing that they have to do is qualify of this 110% rule, but they will probably retire just due to a lack of full race running and not enough faith in the car that they can actually complete a full race without making a fool of themselves. So I believe, according to my sources, that they will be ready to go in China, but in Australia it will be more of a formality of just turning up and, as part of the Concord Agreement, showing up and at least qualifying for the Grand Prix. But they will probably not do the race. If they do, it may be a couple of laps, but it will not definitely be the best start for Aston Martin. But, of course, looking at more the front end of the grid, who looks the best? The likes of Mercedes are always echoing when it comes to new engine regulation, as well as Ferrari and Red Bull, who may not be on the same footing as Mercedes, but they still look fairly competitive. You've also got McLaren as well, a customer of Mercedes engines, and you've also got the likes of maybe someone like a Haas or an Alpine, who look like they might be in the mix for not maybe the winner of the Grand Prix, but maybe the sharper end of the points. So I think it's time to get into the predictions I have made. So, qualifying, I think that the top three will be as follows. I think it will be two Ferraris in there easily, and I've gone for second and third being Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton in third. Who do I think is going to take pole? I am definitely going to say George Russell. George Russell, the favourite of not just the race, but the entire championship. He looks absolutely strong. He looks like he's got, some sort of faith in the car. In testing, he was confident. He looks confident going into Australia. I'll say definitely pole position. Does that mean he'll win the race though? Well, with this new energy system, with this new, style of driving, which is more driver dependent than it is car dependent, qualifying, as we saw last year, is not always the best remedy for the race. So, let's go and see who we think is going to be in the top 5 for the Grand Prix. In P3 and P2, I've gone for two Mercedes drivers. I've gone for Antonelli in P3 and George Russell in P2. Anthony had a superb debut in Australia last year, finished 4th, only one place off the podiums, and he looked so strong in such a difficult Grand Prix to get to grips with, especially if it's your first one. And so my thing is that maybe he just has some sort of, I suppose, feeling when it comes to Melbourne. He might like the circuit, he might have more running than other circuits, but Melbourne seems maybe like his hunting ground. And I know it's only his second season, but a podium in a car that looks like probably the favourite is realistically not a difficult feat for him to manage. P2 then, I'm going to go for George Russell. I do not think he's going to win the Grand Prix. I think he would have a superb race in P2. He will be a championship contender, yes, but I think that the person in P1 who I've also predicted as the world champion, Charles Leclerc. And now people are saying, what, Charles Leclerc, really? Well, I do genuinely have a strong sense that Ferrari will be quick. And I think Charles Leclerc is quick. Mix the two. And to be fair, even if Mercedes are a tenth or two above Ferrari, I do believe a driver like Leclerc on his day can go and maximize that car to match the likes of Mercedes. He is a very talented driver. As we said plenty of times, the only luck that other people get on the grid in terms of him is that he gets no luck. Put him in a car that is championship contention and he will deliver, and I believe that he will start this season off with a strong, I suppose, sense of urgency, and he will win the Grand Prix. Definitely. Well, not definitely, but at least some sort of, he will win. Okay. In the middle of the race, I've just gone for a random Russell, Anthony, Verstappen, Leclerc, Hamilton. Bish, wash. Biggest good surprise now, and I'm going to have to go for Ferrari. I think that the expectation of them is not as high as they would have liked and are at. I think that there's generally more to Ferrari than what people see. I mean, if you look at their starts, they look phenomenal. As well as the fact that people are going to be sandbagging, and I think everyone's sandbagging to the same extent. So if we take that into relativity, and we kind of, use that for real-term racing, I generally think Ferrari looks strong on the level of Mercedes, and I think that someone like Leclerc can definitely bring a fight to Russell, to even maybe Hamilton, and of course someone like Verstappen that might be in the mix anyway. Biggest flop, I think that's going to be easy, Aston Martin. There's been too much, I suppose, talk around them not really having the best start to the season. Mixing, rumours already on Wednesday as a recording that they might not even complete the Grand Prix shows that there is a genuine sort of problem at Aston Martin, and that someone like Adrian Newey or Lawrence Stroll and definitely Fernando Alonso will not be happy about. Chris prediction, and I'm going to say someone will be lapped twice. We don't see this much in Formula 1, especially now, but I'll definitely say that someone will be lapped twice. I think that there will be a massive disparity amongst the grid. And I just generally think that they will not. Compared to the close racing we've had between the top 10 teams, we've now got 11. We've now got one new team, a new engine supplier. There's a lot of, I suppose, different elements and variables, which means that there'll probably be a bigger chance of separation. Now, weather looks quite good for Melbourne. 20 degrees each day. Saturday is only a 25% chance of rain, which is the most. The rest is 1% chance of rain on the Friday or the Sunday. And they'll be using the C3, C4 and C5 compounds like they did last year, which means that, well, last year we had rain, but it seems like a decent one-stop strategy will be the vibe. Okay, now, a new station for this year. I'm going to be doing F1 Fantasy, as pretty much every other content creator does. And I'm going to say, well, I've put in as my team Bortoletto, Charles Leclerc, Gasly, Verstappen and Behrman, with Haas and Alpine as my constructors. Which means that, yes, we'll be on the race review on Monday. We will be talking about how well or how badly I've done. And also, there's a new thing on Formula 1 called F1 Predictions, which you can get on the website. It's completely free, and you can predict pretty much the top 3 in qualifying, the top 3 in the race, who's got the fastest lap, fastest pit stop, who will, they ask you questions about who will be better, Haas or Alpine, which I think is really cool, and it seems you get points at the end of it as well, so I'll definitely be keeping you informed with that. Well, I think that will wrap up a short but sweet Australian Grand Prix predictions Make sure to like and subscribe, and have a simply lovely day. Goodbye.